Get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 8th Science and Engineering Fair of Houston seminar. We are excited to have all of you participate with us this morning and this afternoon, getting to know a little bit more about what SEFH may be, or if you are veterans, having the ability to find out what our particular updates will be for this 2021-2022 season. It has been quite an eventful year, hasn't it? And we just want to thank all of you for your continued support, persistence, and also the investment and time that you put into our students who are making our futures hopefully a much better place, and finding that need and filling that need overall, and having our volunteers in our industry to be able to give them inspiration of words and support too. So my name is Dr. Heather Domiano. I'm the Executive Director of the Science and Engineering Fair of Houston, and I am here with my prestigious colleague, Dr. Lionel Rondoon. Dr. Rondoon, would you like to say just a few words, please?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm just very excited to be able to see everyone's faces. I'm so excited to kick off another SEFH season, and I am so excited. As much as the COVID pandemic has not cooled down, I am still very, very, very optimistic that we are going face to face. And so everyone join me in getting vaccinated if you have not, so that we can see each other in February next year, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rondoon. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead with our information of quick updates. And as Dr. Rondoon had mentioned earlier, that there is in the link actually our schedule for today, and that we're going to ask that you are able to choose one of those particular sessions of your interest. So let's move forward. And here is this time schedule at this point. We will have our SRC training, general information overview. And our training 2, we have the road to results. And then for looking at data analysis and visualization, we have launching AJ STEM, which is a new venture that we're working with STEMI. So we're excited about that. And for all of those who are interested in regarding having student-led, student-run science fair and engineering clubs at your school, please go and join in with that. In addition, we have our special guests of SEFH alumni to kind of and provide some guidance for those who are interested in this particular platform. And then of course we have our Judging Matters, where we'll provide some updates, many updates. In addition, we will have potentially some science here in that respect. Now, I know that our science here are pretty much familiar. At this time, our scientists, we have actually intended our particular presenter, unfortunately, was unable to attend due to other matters. However, so what we would like to do is, if you have any scientific questions for us to please go ahead and email us at the info@sefhouston.org, and we will be more than happy to be able to provide perhaps some of our sessions and to be able to answer any of your questions, because we know that you are anxious to get started by all means. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what happened for our I can't hear you. Year's fair. So, yes, we had not only the pandemic, but ultimately we had the Texas historic winter storm. And my, oh my, that was quite a challenge for all of us. That definitely tested all of our perseverance and persistence to be successful. But guess what? 696 students were. And that's because of you and your support and your ability to help the students' passion. And we had 31 junior high schools, 37 high schools, 9 were private and 10 that were homeschool. Overall, we had extended, it was about 3 weeks of time frame. However, due to the winter storm, we had almost a month and a half that we're working with for our science fair. So it was a challenge for all of us. And as Dr. mentioned, that we're hoping to be able to go back face to face. Our judges, here are our metrics for this. We had 425 place, 188. Our judges are very special key individuals who helped support and continue this program. You may look at the demographics that were, and we had over our gender trend continues, where we had 53% in female and male were 46%. And we had other 0.3%. Our career interests. So we do a survey with our students to see exactly where they are in their STEM passions. And as you can ultimately identify, that the top 4 were medicine, medical science, engineering, and computer science. So that resonates. What was interesting for us to see is, and continue to hear, that this pandemic has by no means hindered or reserved any students' inquiry to want to continue looking in the pathway for the medical and health. In fact, it has actually spurred even much more fire and passion to go into this particular career set. And so we are excited to be able to see our students be able to make those strides in those particular types of careers. So we are so excited. This just recently came out for the top 300. Dr. Rondoon, would you like to, please?
I just want to say thank you to all of our middle school teachers for continuously working with your students and really encouraging them to participate not only in SEFH, but when they make it to SECSEF, guiding them through that process at TechSEF, and ultimately when they're nominated for Broadcom Masters, working with them to continue and persist through that Broadcom Masters application. We know it's kind of a beastly application, so we thank you for working with your students. In the top 300, we have 5 representatives from the Houston area, which again, we are very, 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 very happy about. This year, or this past year, we were allowed to nominate about 48 students to Broadcom Masters. So this is a great ratio of the amount of our students who have made it past the first round of judging and making it into the top 300. And from the top 300, we are anxiously awaiting the results for the top 30, which should come out the end of this month. So congratulations to all the students. I know some of our students are here. Ramaya, I did see Ramaya earlier. So Ramaya, congratulations on your advancements to the top 300. And to all of our, again, students and teachers and the school districts, thank you for your continued support of these students. And we are hoping that all 5 make it to the top 30. Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Absolutely. We are just elated to be able to have all of these students represent you and your hard work in your school districts, as well as the Science and Engineering Fair of Houston across the United States. So let's give them a big round of applause. That's great. Thank you so much, everybody. Next, we have our ISEF, Regeneron ISEF award winners. And we are just proud because these students have had to not only go through all of these challenges, but Regeneron ISEF was also virtual this past year. So these are our Excellent Grand Award recipients who have pursued and been able to achieve this accolade. So we want to thank everyone we've had from all of our districts abroad, and for all of your continued support as well. And as you see, we have a couple of returnees too. They've worked diligently, and they have had to have a very quick turnaround to be able to go from our science fair to that of Regeneron ISEF. Regeneron ISEF is where they had to support and provide videos as well. So with this information, what they have presented is very impactful. And these are our up and coming rising stars in our careers of STEM industries. So let's go ahead and please, thank you everyone. Let's give a big round of applause to all of these students. Some have moved on into their careers, however, for college, but we also have those who are up and coming for this next year. So we're looking wonderfully of what their outlook will be in their next science fair projects. Congratulations once again, everybody. So what are some particular SEFH updates? Well, first of all, we're going face-to-face. We are looking to have at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Remember that place a couple of years ago? So we're at George R. Brown Convention Center, and it's going to be February 25th and February 26th. So it's that last weekend in February that we will be joining. We are going to have a celebration on Friday. So when your students come in to be able to register and have the display and safety review, we will have booths for students to be able to entertain and interact with, obtain some further information, perhaps from some colleges as well as some professional societies. You know, it's important for our students to continue to network and make those connections as they move forward. Next, we have a realignment of categories. So you're going to definitely want to check out that of the judging matters. And so there's, we're wanting to be a little bit more streamlined to our Regeneron ISEF students. So that way, when they enter a particular project category with SEFH, that they know exactly where their pathway will lead to, all the way from state to that of Regeneron ISEF. And next, we also have our SRC chairs. So we want to gracefully and sincerely thank Tammy Hyde, who's our SRC chair. She has retired in that position, and we are so honored to have her, as well as Sally Wall, be able to lead that charge over the many years. And we are just ecstatic to be able to have our two new SRC chairs on board. And that is going to be Elena Garza. Elena, are you there? If you could, please go ahead and say hello. And as well as we have Dr. John Ramon. And so Elena is from CCISD and Dr. John Ramon is from Fort Bend ISD. So we have two excellent individuals with a wealth of information to be able to continue on the legacy of our SRC chairs. And we are just, thank you so much for your continued support, and we look forward to working with them. And they will be actually hosting 2 sessions, so please join them in their information and providing those updates.
We did have a question, Dr. Domian, from Ms. McConnell asking, will there be options for virtual students? So we are aware that not all students, especially if you have students who are immunocompromised, who would be comfortable coming to a face-to-face fair. At this time, we are taking our time to think through the logistics of what that would entail and ensuring that as we create our judge teams, we are creating one that is equitable for both student and participation. What we don't want to have is have a too much load of students who are virtual, and then the judging aspect is not equitable in terms of that interaction that we have in place for students that are face-to-face compared to those that do come on a virtual platform. So again, there are some logistical concerns that we are trying to work through before we make a final decision at this time.
Okay. Thank you so much. And that's absolutely, please know that this is our full intention is to go face-to-face, but we are having our tentative next plans that if need to be, then we will default back to virtual. We want to make sure that the safety and the well-being of everybody, of everyone who is attending, from students to administrators to parents, is safe, and that we have and we host a successful program all around. So our full attention is first to be able to go face-to-face. If things definitely change, and then we will definitely have further communication with you to be able to make those provisions at that particular time. I would like to also kind of go back for one moment, if I could, in that respect, and want to state that actually it's the Academy of Science and Technology where our students came from. So please excuse our apologies for that particular error. We want to thank Dr. Susan Caffrey for her continued tireless support of her students, for being able to continually support her population of interested in students from high school as they are successful in their continued journey for Regeneron ISEF. So thank you once again. So we look forward to having all of our particular schools, districts, and continue to be successful as that may be. Okay, so this is kind of overall of what this is going to look like for our due dates. We have January 28th, 2022 for our writing poster contest. All of our projects need to be submitted to SEFH and must be confirmed, with a category, their abstract and their title. This is a hard deadline. This is definitely a hard deadline. Dr. Rondon, would you like to take the rest of the timeline?
So yes, so as you see here on the deadline, as Dr. Domian mentioned, January 28th is our hard deadline for all students to be submitted to Scienteer, along with having them go into the system and confirm their project title, abstract, and all the small intricacies there. Then as soon as student projects are in, we're going to start the SRC process that evening, leading all the way up to the following week, in hopes of finalizing all projects by the 7th of February. And when we say by the 7th of February, that includes any revisions that are asked by the SRC committee. And so it is very important that as your students, once they submit their project, they don't just say, all right, I'm submitted, I'm good to go, but encourage them to continuously check until on their project dashboard, their button does turn back to that whole green status and says that they are 100% complete. So just keep that in mind, that when you submit projects from your fair to SEFH, their bar goes back down to this gold color, yellowish color that says that they're 95% complete. As they are cleared by SRC and no changes are needed, that turns into a green 100% complete. And so the SRC, or the Scientific Review Committee, is very important in terms of analyzing that projects are cleared for competition. After the 7th, our judge team goes ahead and creates all of our necessary judge teams, and ensures that all of our projects are accounted for and gets judged. And then so we move on to the 25th, where we are going to be so excited to greet your students at project check-in. Again, that project check-in, we're going to follow the same procedures that we had in 2020, and having your students get dropped off at that bus depot, having them come down. We are going to be in Exhibit Hall E again. And so we're going to use that same route of having students dropped off at the bus depot, using the escalators, and then coming down the escalators into the exhibit hall. And again, that time frame is going to be from 2 to 7:30. So again, please make arrangements as necessary. Judging day begins bright and early for our students on the 26th. We are working on procedures for safety at our fair. Again, we are going to mandate masks be used at our event. So please do keep that in mind. We are currently working with the GRB with our floor layout. Many of you are familiar that we do have an excessive amount of space available in there. And so we want to ensure that our students are distanced appropriately from one another. We are also aware that socially distancing may not always be possible, especially when students begin to interact with judges. So if your students want to bring hand sanitizer or any kind of wipes, please encourage them to do so. Again, mask is mandatory. Okay, and then this is something we are very, very, very adamantly going to stick to. Mask mandatory. So if you already know that you have students who are not in tune to using masks, you may want to consider the repercussions that might be had there. And then we're going to have our awards ceremony on March 5th, which is the following Saturday. And currently the plans are to have a face-to-face award ceremony. Again, all of this that we've shared with you is contingent on where we are in terms of the state, our COVID numbers, and any restrictions placed on us by the University of Houston.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rondon. Absolutely. So, we look forward to trying to go back to as much of normalcy as possible, just as everyone else is. as well as we continue to stay safe and healthy. Okay, so we have some SEFH updates ultimately, and we are excited to be able to say that we have an increase in our provision of projects per division from last year, just because of COVID situation. So as a reminder that SEFH last year for 2020 started to include 6th grade. So 6th through 12th grade is the span of which can participate in this particular educational program. So if you have 6th graders who are interested, we would definitely welcome them to participate. So we have 54 projects per division meaning junior division for 6th through 8th grade and senior division for 9th through 12th grade. We have March 1st, where students must register and receive SRC approval and submit all required items. Now, what does that mean? It's a very quick turnaround time frame, as we have just a little less than in about 2 days, because we end on the 26th and here on March 1st. So we will have to work with your students. You'll need to work with your students to be able to ensure that all the paperwork is actually submitted to TechSEF. This is a date that TechSEF is looking to actually have as a standard annual date. So we are working in tandem with them to see how we could perhaps maybe have a little bit of leniency, but till this time frame, March 1st is still the date. March 4th to March 10th is going to be a virtual judging round 1. So your students who advance to state, their round 1 will be virtual. If they're able to then move in advance, then their round 2 and 3 will be March 25 and 26, and it will be in person. So I know that might be of concern as to, how do you make sure that you support your students, having the transportation, having hotel and budget. So please be cognizant of that information. Next, you have that the required items that students will need to submit are still being worked on, and it's still pending at this time, just as everyone else is. They have all intentions to be able to continue with this platform. If you attended the state fair before in 2019, they actually had the juniors that were on the top of the Kylie field, and they'll have seniors on the bottom as they have. So they are kind of reverting back to what they were able to be successful with in the past. However, as we obtain further details as we proceed in our season, if there's anything changing, we'll definitely provide that information. And then we have, of course, once again, our schedule. So at this time, we would like to invite you to be able to start to transition into the links for those particular sessions. We thank you once again for being here and supporting your students, and you are that change agent that impacts positively the lives of all of your students.
So there are a few questions in the chat regards to student advancement to state. So yes, we are aware that the date of our award ceremony falls after the TechSEF's registration date. And again, the TechSEF date is something that we were notified about several weeks ago before we had already created our date. And unfortunately, our date, we cannot move forward because of the spacing availability at GRB. That said, students are going to be notified ahead of time whether or not they've been able to advance to the state level. Our lead judge, Mr. Capral, has been very good and gracious about getting the results data compiled the evening of that Saturday. And so our intent is to notify students no later than that Sunday afternoon following our fair of whether or not they've advanced to the state fair. Some areas of the state fair that we have been notified about in terms of the virtual fair is that it is looking likely that they will require, again, the use of a virtual board. And so for those of you that may have the outline, I would suggest you start having your students model their board, their presentation after that state fair board in preparation for them to go to state. It is, again, it is a very, very, very tight turnaround, and is one that we have not been successful in negotiating more time for our students at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Rondoon, for that explanation. Appreciate that. We know that, our date in that respect for science fair, please be cognizant that is once again set with per the venue that we can provide on this such grand scale, since we are accompanied with 23 counties, including Harris County. So that may have to, of course, that may be in conflict with some of the other type of events that are occurring around the city. However, we were able to garner this. And in fact, I have to state that I had to actually book and reserve this particular date a year and a half ago, and because of what has been occurring. So we're glad that we actually have this. We're glad we have a venue to be able to provide, and look forward to working with all of the students. So sometimes our students, of course, have to make decisions, many of which, because our students that do attend are very highly active in all different types of extracurricular activities. Priorities, of course, is one of those results in rites of passage that students have to make as to whether they attend SEFH or if they actually attend other particular areas. Let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, so this question: in the event that the competition has to transition from face-to-face to virtual, will students have to change their physical boards to the virtual presentation format as they did last year? All right, Dr. Rondoon, would you like to take this question?
So we remain optimistic that we are going face-to-face. Quite honestly, I don't want to get political, everyone, but I remain optimistic that we will do what is needed to see each other face to face. However, the reality, yes. Okay, so quite honestly, if the numbers, right, we are watching the trends. We are speaking to individuals here at the Texas Medical Center. We are in tune with our governing body there at the university. And all things are pointing towards the peak. We've reached the peak and we are going down. With that said, we do intend to release by Thanksgiving our final decision of whether or not we will go face-to-face or virtual. If we do transfer into that virtual realm, we will let you know then. And so that hopefully that will give your students time to take their projects and start formulating that virtual board, with the exception though that if December, and I apologize everyone, right, this is so difficult, this is such a difficult thing. The feedback we got from our students was that the interaction between student and judge was not enjoyable, and so we are working to give students that opportunity to engage again with that industry professional, with that researcher, because again, this is not the gold standard, right? What we had last year worked great, but it's not the gold standard to help inspire our students to continue their journey through STEM. And so if we should see a fifth peak, God help me, because I might retire. Again, by Thanksgiving, we are hoping that we can give you a definitive yay or nay on this whole virtual versus face-to-face. We are going to give you all the PD certificates at the end of this evening.
So question, the SRC training 2 mandatory for coordinating administrators. It is not mandatory. However, we would highly suggest that you attend, so that way you can identify what are the new revisions and information that's there. I think that would be a highly supportive session for you to actually interact with. Okay, well, our sessions are just about to be started. So at this time, if you could go ahead and if you have any further questions, please do email us at info@sefhouston.org. We'll be more than happy to attend to your inquiries, and that way we could get those results for you. But we'd like to be able to make sure that we are on our schedules and provide honor for all of your attendance and support for these particular sessions. So thank you so much. We have, once again, our will be from 9:30 to 10:30. That is our SRC Training 1 Scientific Review Committee. And then we have for 10:35 to 11:35, our SRC Training 2 workshop, or also the road to results, looking at data analysis. That's definitely where students are needing to have support. So thank you once again, everybody, for attending our SEF 8th annual seminar. We are excited to be able to have you and see how our students are successful in their STEM scientific research. Thank you, everybody.